Good morning. Happy first day of the stitch along. Hi, George. Hi, Robin, Alice. Oh, it said, and 4 others joined, so I don't know who you are. But good morning, Veronica, Jamie T. Hello. I've missed you guys so much. You have no idea. I've just been standing here for like 10 minutes, like, come on, let's go. Let's go. So good to be back. Hi, Meg. Oh, this is so fun. Okay, so good morning. Sneaking in to say hello. I'll watch the video later on my lunch break. Have a good day. Not stitching this time, just here because I missed you too. Oh, Alice. Carrie. Carrie finally got her fox. All right, so at the beginning of each stitch along, I always want to do a little public service announcement and just say, one, thank you so much, because this honestly means the world to me that you guys want to keep stitching with me. It's so fun. And every time I'm like, no one's going to buy this and I'm going to stitch by myself. And then every time loads of people do. And I'm just blown away. So thank you. And the second thing is just do your best. Like, just try your best. Like, we're all here rooting for you. We're all gonna like gas you up. Like, yes, let's go, let's go. Like, your hoop looks amazing. You're doing a great job. Yeah, so just try your best. As long as you're trying your best, that's great. This isn't here to like stress you out and like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's meant to be relaxing. Just do a little bit of stitching every day. And yeah, hopefully just kind of like all come together and do this together. So if you find yourself getting super, super stressed every day, then yeah, maybe this isn't for you. Sorry. So yeah, just try your best, guys. And if you have any questions at all, anything, no question is a dumb question. I promise you. You can DM me or you can ask in the feed at the bottom here. I do like watch through the phone and also as I'm stitching just to make sure that I don't miss any questions or anything like that. So ask away. And if you feel like, oh, I can't ask there, or if you're watching this later, then just DM me or send an email or whatever, and I will get back to you like within the day. So that's one thing about the stitch along is that I set like a lot of my time aside so that I can actually talk to you guys and like work through it, if you know what I mean. So we're going to start today with a really easy peasy satin stitch, and we're going to do 3 strands. So we're stitching this plant here with all these little guys, and they kind of disappear behind different things. So we'll get to that when we get to it. So I'm just going to show you how to separate the strands because there's 2 different ways to do it. Just 2, not 4. There's 2 different ways to do it. And both ways are fine. It just depends what you like. So let me cut. I don't have any scissors here. Be prepared, Tori. We cut a length. Now, the length that you choose, I like mine a little bit longer. That's just because I don't want to keep putting more thread on the needle over and over and over, especially if I'm like stitching like a commission hoop or something like that, where I just want to just get on with it. But some people say that you should have it between your tips of your arm to your elbow. That's way too short for me because you also have the tail. So mine's quite long. It's actually about double that if you have a look. That's just what I prefer. If you find that's too long, then just snip a little bit off and have it a little bit shorter. So there's 2 ways to separate. The first way is you pull it apart like this, and you can see there's 6 strands. And you're just going to pull one of those strands out like that. Yes, you have 5 strands and 1 strand. And you're going to put your finger over where they make a little Y and just pull the 1 strand out. And just pull it out. Now, we're going to use 3 strands for this plant. So you need to do this 3 times. Now, after you have all of your 3 strands all together, after you have them all, you need to put them all together and then thread your needle. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways to start your embroidery as well. So the first video is going to be a little bit long, and I'm sorry for that, but these are the basics that we have to teach. So after we do the 1 strand, obviously you need 2 more strands to make 3. So you can pull out 2 more, or you can keep them a little bit twisted, and you can separate it into obviously 3 and 3. I've got 3 and 2 because I've just pulled one out. And I call this the Y method. It's just why I call it. I don't think there's any like real name. And what you're going to do is you're going to kind of untwist it as you go along, like this. And you've got your 3 strands all together. Now, some people like to separate them all and then put them all back together because it makes it nice and smooth, meaning that these strands are a little bit twisted still. They're not as twisted as they were before, but they are still a little bit twisted. So some people really like that because it makes it like a 1 thread. But other people like to separate 3 and put the 3 together because it makes them lay flat in a row. So 3 like this instead of 3 like this, Either way is absolutely fine. Today we're going to start our thread like this. So we're just going to thread our needle. Oh, I left one out. I'm actually using a smaller needle than I normally do. And we're going to put a little tail there and just put a little knot on the end. So how to do the knot, I just do a loop like that and then put it inside and then hold the very, very end, and you're just going to pull that loop all the way to the end, like as far as you can get it to go. So that's an easy way to start your embroidery. Other people like to do, let's see if I can do a sample here without stitching. Other people like to take, it only works with even numbers. So if you've got 2 strands, 4 strands, 6 strands, then this way works. So you take 1 long thread like this. So I've got the 2 ends here and the loop here. You're going to put these 2 ends together. I'm just showing you now because I think that when we do 6 strands later or 2 strands later, then you can decide which way you want to do by yourself. So let me just grab another needle. So you put the 2 strands through the eye of the needle and you're left with this loop like this. So how people start, I'll just do it on a scrap hoop so you can see. So this way, you're going to start up and make your stitch. And before you pull it through, you'll put your needle through the loop so you have no knot on the back. So that's like a no knot start. And then you can continue stitching however you want to stitch. So that's just a back stitch. Easy peasy. Yeah. So for this one, because we need 3 strands, that way won't work. But you can always use 4 strands if you want to. Again, I'm always a you do you type person. So if you feel like you want to add another one, do it. I'm just going to do the knot for this one because I really want to do 3 strands. So let's zoom in and we'll start stitching. Here we go. Okay, so we're just going to do a really easy satin stitch. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than a regular satin stitch because we're not going to do them all in a row where they're all horizontal to each other, parallel, never touch. They're not going to be all smooth and silky like a regular satin stitch is. For this one, we're going to do it where all of the stitches go down through the same hole at the bottom. So they all are going to angle in. Okay, I hope you're with me still. So we're just going to do the top one here. Let me zoom in a little bit more just so that you can see it. I feel like, there we go. So I like to do the middle. And this is something that I say a lot as well, is that if you don't want to do this stitch, then don't do it. Go to the very end of the video, have a look if you like the look of it or not. And if you want to, you can choose something else. I always say give it a go, just because you don't know if you don't like it unless you try. So there's that. But if you know for sure that you do not like the look of it, yay, then just don't. Or if you want to do it in a different kind of way, then do it in a different kind of way. So I'm not one of those like people who are like, you have to do the pattern like this, and this is the way it goes. I'm not going to do that. So you guys, so much chat between people in the comments. It's so cute. So yeah, don't feel bad if you're like, oh, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I hope Tori doesn't get mad. I'm not going to get mad. Do it how you want to do it. Okay. So like I said, all of these are going to angle in towards the bottom, and notice that there's less space at the bottom than there is at the top. So I always like to do the first one right down the middle, and then the ones on either side, the next 2 stitches, are not going to go all the way down to the very, very end again. They're going to stop about 3/4 of the way down. So or 4/5, you know, if we know our fractions. So now I've got 3 stitches, and you can see that the very top is more filled out than the bottom. So the bottom still has that nice point, and the top is getting more and more filled out. So the next stitches, I'm going to do another one right on the side. What you really have to look for this is just filling in the shape. So you're just going to make sure that the outside shape is really nice and round. Back down through the same hole, and that one's finished. Yeah. So we'll do one big long back stitch from here, again down this same hole. So I do class this as a satin stitch because it is nice and smooth. You can see all of the threads are, you know, satiny. But it's not like a normal satin stitch, because a normal satin stitch would have you doing parallel stitches straight all in a row to fill in the shape. So think like a square or a rectangle, and having them all be boom, 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 kind of like my fingers, yeah, all straight. Where this one, they kind of angle in so that you can fill in the shape a little bit better. So we're up here at the top, and I'm going to do the next one. Now, this is another thing that I like to keep in mind, is that I'm not going to go from here straight over, because you're going to see that thread through. So what I'm going to do is try and keep, oh no, come on. Don't fall out already. It's like the first day, guys. Come on. I'm going to try and keep the thread in the shape that I'm doing it as. So if this is your first time and you're like, whoa, this is a lot, then don't worry about that, okay? It's really not going to have that much of an impact. But for me, I always hate it when I can see, do you see the thread, how it's moving around? And because I choose a dark color, you can really see that thread through the back. So that's just something that I like to keep in mind. But again, if you're like, oh, I don't know if I can keep that in mind, and the stitches, and, you know, and the thread, and the needle, that's so much to like try and remember, then that's okay. Do not worry. So I've got my 3 stitches. I'm just going to do these ones here down through the same hole. And then I'll go down and do the other side. Yeah? Good morning. You know what, Susanna? I saw your profile picture, and I was like, I feel like I know her. based on just the picture. I was like, I swear I've seen that picture before in a different stitch along. Susanna from Portugal, been MIA and changed account. I miss this so much. Oh, I did too, I'm not gonna lie. And then Carrie earlier, she asked if I found my magazine. So I've been featured in the Love Embroidery magazine. And so we went to W.H. Smith yesterday to try and buy it, but it's not in newsstands until the 14th. So I have to wait until the 14th. So we've just got three little leaves, and we're just going to keep on trucking along. So a big question I always get asked about this, especially doing when I teach stitches, is do I have to do it one down the middle, one on each side, one on each side? No, you do not have to do it that way. You can always do one side first, then the other side. But I do like to do one straight down the middle just because sometimes when you start on the outside ones, you're going to have to tuck in the two, you know, the next two that I'm doing right now. You're going to have to tuck them in, and sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. So I like to do one right down the middle because I know that it will be symmetrical. And they don't have to be symmetrical, but what I mean is that I know that, one, I know what stitches to do next. And two, I know that I can fill in the shape of the shape that I want to do. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Veronica says, I've just subscribed to that. They were giving away threads. They were. I saw it in, I got like an ad for it in my stories. But yeah, I'm in issue 6. And don't tell anyone, but I'm also in issue 7. I'm not supposed to say, which is why I haven't said yet. But yeah, so that's exciting. So I think I'm going to be calling W.H. Smith like all week. Hi, do you have issue number 6 yet? And they're going to be like, go away. But I don't have a car, so I can't drive here. So it's going to be one of those, like, when it comes out. I'm going to have David take me. Okay, so this is one where you can see I've done one down the middle, 2 on each side, and I still haven't filled up the shape. Yeah? So this is where if you need to add more, then add more. There's no rules here that like we need to strictly follow. The only thing is, if you're going to fill out the top more, you still want to have that small point shape at the bottom. So just keep that in mind. You might need to tuck another one on the outside. You guys are being so nice. Okay, let me just scroll up so I can read the comments. Veronica, I've just subscribed to that. They were giving away threads. Carrie says, exciting. Melanie says, woohoo, I just subscribed to it a couple months ago. Congrats. Jamie T, that's so exciting. Well done. Kat says, I've just subscribed. That's so great. And Meg says, buy multiple copies. Yes. So we were in W.H. Smith yesterday, and I was like, I want to buy like 6 copies. And they were like, oh, is there a reason? And I was like, oh, I'm like in the magazine. And they were like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, we'll go check. I think they weren't expecting me to say that I was in an embroidery magazine. Now, this is getting to the part where it becomes a little bit tricky because we, have some things on top of the other leaves. So sometimes I'll say if it's a really big thing, go around it. But because these are really, really small, they're going to be easy to stitch over. We're going to stitch over these. So plop that thing right down. Now, Veronica's just said, I can't believe they don't give you one. So I don't know if I can talk about this or not, but so like in the magazines, some of the parts are, you have to pay to be in them. So they don't read like ads, but they're ads basically. So they'll say like kits that we love at the moment. And then if you pay, you can get your kit in there. Yeah. Real quick, just to tie it off in the back, because obviously I don't have much thread left. Yeah. So all I did was separate the strands, 2 strands and 1 strand, and I just did a double knot. You can also do like a loop like this and tuck your strands in, you know, like that. But my thread's too short. The other thing you can do is you can weave your thread back through these here if you don't want to have a lot of knots on there. So either way is fine. It just depends on what you prefer to do. Some people really love to weave it. And because you're not actually going to like wear this item or like, I just want thread chicken. Yes, Meg. Because you're going to wear it, or if you're not putting it on a bag or something like that, if it's just going to hang on your wall, then this is probably fine. And weaving it through is probably fine. So you don't have to, I need to get a new piece of thread because I used the other one to start, didn't I? To show you how. Yeah, anyway, so sometimes there'll be like little ads where it'll be like, you know, 5 kits we're loving or a pattern that we're loving now, something like that. And oftentimes you have to pay for those, but for me, I was paid to make this, to make the thing I made. So that's always good because it's probably not the right way to go about it, but I've never spent any money in advertising ever. So I'm always a little bit hesitant when people are like, oh, you can put an ad in our magazine. Like that's, I'm not talking about Love Embroidery because they've never sent those like really spammy emails. But I know other magazines have, and it's just a bit like, yeah, I'm probably not supposed to be talking about that, but there you go. Being transparent. So I've just split my threads again, and I'm just going to continue on stitching. Now this edge here is going to come right to there, so that's fine. But I'm just going to cover these completely and then stitch over them again because they're going to be really easy to stitch over. Now, Meg said I just want thread chicken, and thread chicken is when you have a length of thread. Don't worry, we won't say anything. But also it's recorded and it's going to be put on YouTube and saved to my IGTV, so whoops. So thread chicken is when you have a length of thread, okay, and you have a shape, and you want to try to fill the whole shape before you run out of thread. So it's like a little game that most embroiderers play. So it's like, who has to give up first? The thread or you know? Now what's happening is that all these little, you can't see, all these little pieces here are poking through the back. So that's something too about putting a knot there, is that sometimes if you don't snip these short enough, then they will go through. So just be a little bit mindful. It's really not a big deal because you can just pull them through the other way. But, you know. Carrie says, damn, I forgot about that. It's okay. It's one of those things that like you should be transparent about, you know, the things that you do. So, and I think sometimes that's something that I didn't know, is that I thought that people always got paid to be in those kinds of magazines, that like Better Homes and Garden, or like, you know, what's the one that I used to like have all the time? It's in America. I don't think it's here though. real simple, those kinds of things where they're like, 10 whatever that we're loving. Sometimes they are that you've just been featured, but a lot of times they are like ads that are disguised to not be ads because they're not at the end just like thrown in there, So that's something that I didn't know about, but I did like that Love Embroidery magazine wasn't like cheeky about that. They didn't like try and frame it in a way that you felt like you were being used, if that makes any sense. Whoops. But yeah, all the people that I've talked to at Love Embroidery magazine, so the previous editor, Nikki, she was absolutely lovely. And then the new editor, because Nikki just went on maternity leave, she's also super lovely. And I've talked to people in like accounts payable. They're so nice. So I really liked that it wasn't like, I didn't feel like, come on, get us the stuff because we need to do it. I felt like they really cared about like the product and like how I was going to make it and how it was going to look. It was really nice. It was really nice working with them. 10 out of 10, would do it again. No, I don't have to say that either, So here I'm just going straight to the edge and it's totally fine. There we go again, totally fine. To 1, stitch over all this stuff. And 2, if this right here is not completely straight, because we can fix that when we do the mushroom later. I totally appreciate that this is the exact same thing over and over and over. So if you would like to dip out at any time, get on with your day, again, absolutely fine. I do not, like feel bad. Like don't feel bad. I'm not like, oh my gosh, they didn't stay the whole time. How dare they? Because this right here is just the same thing over and over, Now, you'll also notice that sometimes I'll go always start here and always go down here. And sometimes I'll go down here on this end, but then I'll also come up at this end as well. And that's just saving thread. So if you ever find that you're running out of thread and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it, you can always start the thread saving method. And hopefully you can win thread chicken. So I'll do some thread saving on this side and then you can see what they look like. So on the back, instead of going the whole length on the front and then the whole length on the back as well, you're just jumping over. And you'll see that you're not going to use as much thread as you would the other way. That's a little bit too severe of an angle, I think, but I'm gonna work with it. Okay, so on the back, you can see the first stitch I did, I came up on this end and down on this end, then up on this end and down on this end, and you can see that there's a whole bunch of thread on the back, like this side. But here I did the thread saver method, which means that I just jumped over a little bit. Yeah. So for me, this works best if you have a shape that's like this so that the stitches aren't right next to each other all in a row, because they kind of stagger down that way. So for me, that's better. But if you ever had like a square or like a straight line, I would always try and do always up on this side, always down on this side, because sometimes you can pull your stitches sideways a little bit. But most of the time when I'm stitching, I use a combination of the two. So I'll go, you know, up on one side, down on one side, and then I'll go into thread saver mode. That's probably good. And then this right here dead ends into this leaf that we'll do later. So it's just gonna end right there. And same for the other side. So this one was a little bit longer. Basically the schedule is like this. We're gonna do all of the greenery first. Then we'll do the fox, I think. No, the mushroom and then the fox. And then the very last day, we'll do some of these little, you can't see my finger, but we'll do some of these little guys down here. And then I'll show you how to close the hoop up. So today is a little bit longer. The first 2 weeks, 2.5-ish weeks, are gonna be all greenery. So just be prepared to do a lot of different stitches, not necessarily long, you know, not like an hour or anything like that, but just greens. And then the very last week, we're going to focus on these two things. So that will probably take a little bit longer each day, but I'm breaking it up into sections. So hopefully it won't be too overwhelming, because I really don't want to have like 2 hours of stitching in one night. You know, that's too much. I mean, for me, it's perfect, but for other people, they might be like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. So just brace yourself for that. How did you come up with the little fox design? Oh, let me tell you. I had a follower beg me for like probably a year. Please do a fox. Please do a fox. She who will not be named. It was Carrie. Carrie really wanted me to do a fox. And I kept saying, oh, that's such a great idea. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Oh, I'll definitely do a fox. And then that's Carrie. Stop calling her out. But yeah, she just kept asking and asking and asking. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. And then I got to be the spring and I was like, oh, foxes aren't really a spring thing, are they? They're like more for like autumn. I'll do it in the autumn. And then I just didn't do it. And then it would be the spring again. And every single stitch along feedback form, I always put, what other patterns would you like to see? Or stitch alongs. And she would go, a fox. I'd be like, oh, Lord Almighty, I'm going to have to do a fox, because one, it would be super cute. And I am the Barmy Fox, so like it's on brand. I love foxes so much. They're so cute. And they're so cheeky and like mischievous. They're so good. She's persistent. I love that though, because it made me definitely do it. And look, now we're all doing it together. Now, if you want to make this leaf a little bit less, wide, thick, luscious, then of course you can, because this is, it might have just been how I drew it actually. No, it's pretty wide in the pattern too. But yeah, if you want to do this a little bit less, then you can. Which is probably what I'm going to do, like that. And then we've got just a little bit up here in this part. So we'll do some short, come on, little guys here. And honestly, it's like the perfect little pattern for autumn. So maybe my dog is a fox then. My gear dog is so cute. Jessie looks like a fox with her ears. Oh, goodness. Okay, I did it all. Only 35 minutes. I definitely thought it was going to be a little bit longer. I might do another one here because I feel like it needs to be a little bit thicker to match the other one. Oop, sorry. Still looking for a phone holder stand with Hi, Jessie. What are you doing? She's like, who are you talking to? I'll be glad when Lola has done with her steroid treatment for her ear. They do make her hungry. Oh, goodness. So there we go. This is what we've done today. Oh, really? Sorry. This is what we've done today. One leaf. If you take out the 10 minutes that I talked to you in the beginning, it's about 30 minutes of stitching. So if you can kind of gauge that 30 minutes, I was trying to do it a little bit. Jessie, are you finished? Sorry, guys. I was trying to do it a little bit slow so that you could see the stitches and follow along. But yeah, that's about 30 minutes. So I hope that you've enjoyed it. Be sure to tag me at the Barmy Fox when you go and share. I hope you share on your Instagram stories or on your main feed, which is called the grid. Oh God, she's so loud, isn't she? She's just gone and laid down and went, like, she's a thirsty dog. She never drinks ever. And then I get on here and she's like, can we see how you put the thread? Like on the clothespins? There's a YouTube video that I did about that. I will link it later. So make sure that you're tagging at the Barmy Fox, and then you can also use the hashtag the Barmy Fox SAL, and that is a collection of all of the stitch along hoops. So if you do post to your main feed on Instagram, your grid, and share a picture, if you put that hashtag on, then everyone will see when they go to check out that hashtag, and that way, one, people can find you better, so we can cheer you on. And say how amazing your hoops look, and yeah, and I can like and comment and share. So be sure to do that. I think that's it for me today. Easy peasy day. I love Jessie. She's definitely got a mind of her own. Like she's doing her own thing all the time. So that's it for me today. I'll have this up on IGTV right now, and then I'll upload it onto YouTube too. I've already made a playlist, so all the videos will be there in the playlist. So hope you have a lovely Monday, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. All right, bye.